Hey, church, Pastor John here. I'm sitting with two of my good friends, my friend Arthur and my friend Slushy. Slushy's from Ethiopia, and you might know a little bit about both of these guys. He's the pastor of Eagle Christian Worship Center, a church that we've been working with for at least 6 years now. And then Arthur's been my friend for a long time, over a decade. But we're down in Minneapolis here today, and I wanted to come and to ask them some questions. This is not really scripted at all, actually, but about the rioting, get their thoughts and their feelings on it. So maybe I can just ask either one of you guys, when it comes to the protesting, we know over George's murder, which that's what it is, that he was
exactly
killed.
What it was.
But we have feelings. I have feelings over it, and you guys have feelings too. But I grew up in a primarily white neighborhood, pastor, primarily white church, and I wanted to get your feelings and your perceptions. As Slushy, you pastor an Ethiopian church, and it's full of primarily Ethiopian people.
Yes.
And so, how has this protesting and the death of George, maybe I can ask you first, how has it affected your life and your church? How do they feel about this situation?
Well, thank you, Pastor John, for coming, and thank you for being a friend for all these years. And again, we are living in the epic center of where all this commotion is. Actually, it is like 3 minutes away where George was killed, and it's very close to home. And some of our congregants, some of our church members are living a block away from where this exactly happened. So we have been dealing with a lot of comforting and a lot of counseling with our church members, because it is not something that we have been prepared for. As a new Americans, as a new immigrants, we have been attracted to make our life a little better, to come to the place where they have opened their arms and to do better in life. And this is not something that we were thinking would happen at the back of our mind, but it is a reality that we are facing right now, and we are struggling, and we are trying to make the best out of all these things by reading a word and every day on live streaming and trying to comfort people. And there are people that have been doing this, and they're not representing the whole segment of the community that we live in. And Pastor John, as I've just mentioned earlier, 6 years ago we were in this relationship, and you didn't come here just to ask us how we are doing after all these things happened. 6 years before, even not too long ago, 5 months ago, you come up with a Christmas from the Freshwater Church, and thank you for that. And there are people who have extended their arms and hands to make life a little better for those of us who have come new Americans. But we know we separate the things that who are doing what is right and what is not. And the whole people, actually I was watching just a little while ago about the memorial service of George.
Beautiful
and,
casket.
It's beautiful, and in that memorial service, I see two cameramen, two journalists, a black guy and a white guy, focusing their lenses on that casket. And I was asking myself, and how would they perceive two different individuals from two different backgrounds seeing what's going on? And you're asking now, you came from a different background, and you might have different perception about this. And I do come from background, and you do come from different background,
right.
And we are looking at the same thing in a very different way. But one thing that I do understand right now, the whole American, blacks and white and the brown and everybody, is condemning this act, and people are in this riot.
As they should.
They are.
It was murder.
Yes, and they're standing together and renouncing the evil act that has never been uprooted in our community for so long.
Right.
And looks to me that now it's getting better understanding and attention, and I believe and I do hope some good thing will come of
Right.
this.
You say that, but it's something that just it continues. It goes on and on and on.
What goes on and on?
The killing, the hurt, the pain. It stops for a minute, and then the only reason we know that it's still there is because finally somebody was able to tape what was going on. What about the stuff that's pushed up under the rug? You know, people. Excuse me. I'm angry. I'm just tired of all this. I was just telling the pastor, you know, not long ago, I was just walking, me and my wife were just walking across the bridge, going to fill a prescription, and 2 police cars just pulled up on us. You know, wanting an ID and everything. You know, I don't like the way they touch my wife. You know,
Right, so that's interesting. So you were, if you caught that, my friend Arthur was walking with his wife Donna. Now he lives about 3 blocks away from a Walgreens. They were walking to Walgreens. 2 cop cars pulled up, asked them for their IDs. Did they frisk you too?
yeah.
And they frisked them. Now, to me, that when you said that, I'm like, I would never think that. I would never, like that wouldn't cross my mind walking down the road
We were going over the
in
bridge,
our
got over the
neighborhood
bridge.
that the police would stop us just because I was walking. So when you said that struck a chord with me. Like, that's foreign to me, and maybe it is to you as well. But it does break my heart too, because Arthur's my good friend, and to know that just going to the Walgreens, and he said you have to bring your ID. You said wherever you go, just because of that.
Just going across the street, because you never know what's going to happen. The little store, SA, I don't like all this rioting and this burning and everything, but what that did do, people are tired. It brought attention. Our voice needs to be heard. It needs to be heard, not by hurting other people. Hurt doesn't help. Hurt. We don't need to. We need to come together. We need to come together and stop hurting each other. It's the only way. It's the only way. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need. Jesus. I'm sorry for being so emotional, but I haven't had a chance to say anything about this to anybody. You know, I'm staying at home because of this COVID. You know, I can't say what I want to say, and I'm real emotional about this. We need to come together. We need to stop hurting each other.
Right. So, Slushy, would you agree that when you see, and we know, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Arthur said that most of the police that he knows are good people, very good people, and most of the police officers I know are great people, but we know that there's some that are not. We just know that, and I said it once before that even the best mansions always have a couple of rats in it. But would you agree, like, when you let me just ask this: if you walk down the street, do people grab their purse and hold it closer, or do you feel that, like, that even with the if you were to get pulled over by the police, do you see it as a big deal, or a scary situation?
I should admit, and I probably am not scared, and I'm not feeling it different way than you do, Pastor,
Right.
because I come from different background, totally. From
Right,
Ethiopia.
very different in Ethiopia.
And with that, I probably what I'm feeling is not going to fit with with what normal the other African American, black, my color people are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And but with my kids, it's the whole different ballgame. My
With your kids?
Yeah. My kids were born and raised here, and one did graduate the other day from St. Thomas, and one is going to graduate next year.
Yeah.
And when we talk about things that how they are being treated in the light of all this crisis, and they do tell me how scared they are sometimes, how fearful they are sometimes. And I do remember one day my kids was called the N-word in the school, and the friends and the teachers heard about it, and they called him, and they tried to comfort him, and not to feel so bad, and that's in any way it's the wrong thing to be called. And he said it's okay, and they said, why did you say it's okay? And I forgive her. And finally, and how did you get this kind of mindset? And it should have caused you to react in a different way. And they said, he said, and that's how my family raised me. And they called me in Anoka High, and I went there, and we just talked about how the whole thing is, and it is a sin issue. I mean,
Right.
even whether it's the police and whether it's us and
Right.
some different people, and with that kind of how we process that kind of crisis and how we process that kind of problem, like I said, if I put myself in my kids' shoes, probably I would have a different way to look at it.
Right.
But my kids are they are born here, and they are an American, and they don't speak Amharic, and they don't speak any other language that I do.
Right.
And with my wife, we can talk about it. There is another way to tone it down with our.
Yes.
But our kids, they have a very different way to look at it. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So, we all want to be part of the solution. We meaning us who are,
Yes.
who are
Right.
here now, and,
Yes.
and we want to be part of the solution. So, what do you want me to know, and what do you want others to know? How can we be part of the solution on the whole racial tension? How can we start to remove those things and walk hand in hand? Because we know we're all created in the image of God. We are all created equally as God's children. God loves us, and so we've, as society and culture and the systemic, all those things that comes from, whether it's slavery and even immigration issues, you have a whole different set of challenges there as well. But right now, what is it that you want us to know, that you want me to know, that would say, here's how you can be part of the solution from just your own personal perspective? Arthur?
By doing what we're doing right now. We're not being silent. We're speaking out. We're doing something. This is doing something. If you be silent and don't say nothing about it, it's going to keep on. It's going to keep on going and going and going. Just because you send condolences and everything, show your face. Let people see you and know that Pastor John, he's involved in this. We need more faces out there. We need more people to protest. Clark, Gardner, we have an incident here, incident there. They're dead. They're gone. So once everything calms down, then people forget. You can't forget. You got to continue to keep moving, striving, doing like we continue to pray for Jesus Christ. We have to continue to pray for everybody. Everybody. I'm quite sure somewhere, just like we're being harassed, we're being murdered, there's some of your people, white people, being murdered by some other race or whatever. All over the world, this stuff is happening. It's not just here. It's not just here. Don't be silent. Don't be silent. Speak out. Be a part of the solution, not the problem.
Thanks, Arthur. Slushy, have anything to add to that?
I think, like I said, it is the whole human problem. It's a sin problem, and the church is the only institution that can help people with that. And that is the first thing we are supposed to do, and you are doing it, Pastor. And you are
Yes,
reaching
yes,
out to
yes.
the community.
Yes.
And by doing that, the perception of the people can be changed. People will not. There is a hasty generalization in this world today. If something happens, they will come. The whole whites are not racist, and the whole blacks are not criminals, and that kind of things can be solved by crossing and coming and building the bridge, like you are doing now. So if you can do a little bit of that kind of things in a very practical way, and if you feel how I feel, and by placing yourself in my shoes, then you can understand what my feeling is. And I cannot go out in the suburb, and I cannot even think how you think of about how I live in here. And your perception is different than mine, and my perception is different than yours. So the only way to cure that is just to make a bridge. And I appreciate what you're doing, and we need to do that in more practical way. And action speaks louder than words, they say. So what you have been doing, and even now, is something that the people will take it to heart. So there are people who are going out in the street and demanding some justice, and there are a lot of people who can do that, but there are very few people who can come where the CNN and when the news medias are not reporting like you are now doing, and helping the community to heal. And I think that's what we need to do more and more, I think.
Yeah, we want to use our voice
Yes.
for good. And I know Slushy, he's been speaking with an Ethiopian news agency, and they have about 5 million views on it every day when he talks to the people in Ethiopia. And that's great that you're a voice and are able to share kind of what's happening here. And I really wanted to come here because I know these guys. And it's not like we just became friends today. We have a long history together. But I understand that myself. I see things through my window, my world, and I don't live in your shoes. I don't walk where you walk. And the only way that I can learn more and to try to be a better Christian and to be more active is to speak to my friends and say, help me to understand how I should feel with all of this. Help me to understand what we can do to make this world a better place. We all agree that breaking and destroying property is wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Yes, it is wrong.
You know, a lot of these businesses are owned by immigrants, and there's no insurance on it, because unless you have a rioting or a terrorism clause, they're not going to get anything. So these businesses aren't going to come back.
You know what? Last night, Pastor, one of our congregants called me about 10 o'clock, and she owns a business on Hiawatha. Hiawatha is 38.
Okay.
And her business was broken into, and she was crying. And there's nothing I can do. And I said, oh, I'll pray for you, and just go call the police and see what they can do. And she did call the police, and the police said, in the midst of this crisis, there is nothing we can do, and all we can do is just give you the case number. And they gave her a case number, and these guys, they don't have the insurance to get their property back.
So they won't get anything back.
Nothing. So
It's awful.
it is awful.
It's-
We are not supporting all the bad doings out there.
So we're against the violence, but
Yes.
we are for speaking up and saying that injustice has happened, that it's happened for a long time, and this was, and I like to say, this was kind of the match that lit the fire.
Yes.
But everything was there already. This
Yeah.
was just the event when
This
people
one-
said
this
enough's
one really
enough.
Enough is enough.
It's the whole world saw it,
Mhm.
and we want to be part of that solution and not part of the problem. So I appreciate you guys taking time.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Yes, I'm angry. But you also see all these wonderful, beautiful people that's coming out helping to clean up and they're donating money. They are helping some of the businesses. I don't know what the percentage, what the money is, whatever it is, but there are good people out there.
Mhm.
There are so many good people. You heard of Minnesota Nice? That is a real word. Those are two real words. You know, it's people helping people, helping people. That's what we need. We need to come together united. Stop all the craziness. Stop. Come together.
Amen.
Okay. Any last comment that you'd say, John? I need to say this before.
I probably would like to say this, John, you have all said, and there are a lot of crises that we are watching all over the world. And one thing about the United States of America, one thing about the Minnesota that I came to 27 years ago. It's not the perfect place in any way, but the good thing that I have seen outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
So we, instead of focusing on the bad thing and the wrong thing, the way to heal is just to focus on the right and good things and the friendship that we have. And we capitalize on those, and we can leverage on those and make this place the better living place in the world.
Amen.
We all agree on that.
Amen.
So I'm very grateful to have good friends like this who I can be honest with and transparent, and not even saying, hey, here's the solution. I just want to learn and understand and help you to learn and understand how people feel in this situation, because quite frankly, a lot of people don't know how to feel, and just by having this conversation, you're helping a lot of people process their own emotions, whether they're white, whether they're black, or on anywhere in the spectrum in between. You're helping us to understand, and I think, like you said, Arthur, just talking helps just understand that we're all human, and we're all working on this. So again, I'm very grateful for your friendship.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you to the church for all your generosity.
Thank you.
Go
'cause
Jesus.
We're down here today even just bringing a bunch of supplies down that you've donated. We're bringing them to another organization here and giving some to Slushy's church. But we just want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And doing something is better than doing nothing. And so we're doing something, and you're doing something. You're invested in helping change lives for the glory of God, just like these guys are doing. Arthur through a singing ministry, Slushy through pastoring an awesome church, and you, Freshwater, are making a huge difference for the glory of God. So thank you.
And one more thing, if you don't do nothing else today, tell somebody that you love them today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, church.